Good evening, everyone. This is the Puyallup City Council meeting for June 11th, and it's called to order. Would you all rise, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that, can I please have the clerk call the roll?
Yes, sir. Councilmember Dorr,
Present.
Councilmember Adler,
Present.
Councilmember Johnson,
Present.
Councilmember Whitting,
Present.
Councilmember Gilliam,
Present.
Deputy Mayor King,
Present.
Mayor Castema.
Present. Hi, at this time, I'd like to acknowledge any young high school students in the crowd. See a lot of young people over here. I don't know if they're in high school or not. Okay, I don't have to see anybody this evening. I'll tell you why we do this. We acknowledge all high school students and at the beginning of every meeting, because frankly, they're our leaders of the future. We want to make sure they're very welcome. We give them an opportunity to speak, say a few words about themselves. But I'm not sure we have qualified candidates this evening. So with that, we will move on. Item number 1, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, second on the list is consideration of minutes, and that's the approval of the April 23rd, 2024 minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, with that, we're going to move on to citizen comments. Welcome everyone here today for this section of our meeting. Public comments will be taken at this time, and we'll have our clerk will go ahead and read the guidelines for public comments. I have a nice long list of individuals who would like to speak. If you would like to speak, please go ahead and fill out this information, a form right over there, and hand it to the clerk, Dan, and he'll get it to me. But at the end, though, if you have not filled one out, but you feel inspired to speak, please, I'll allow you at that time to come up. You only are able to speak one time for 3 minutes. Dan, please give the guidelines.
Thank you, sir. This part of the meeting is for general citizen comments. Please reserve any public hearing testimony to that section of the agenda. The mayor will call on those who have provided their names in advance. Then the mayor will call for other citizens who wish to speak. For the record, please state your name and address or city council district in which you reside. Please direct your comments to the council as a whole, not individual council members. All comments are limited to 3 minutes. The clerk will provide verbal notice when only 30 seconds remain. As a reminder, this portion of the meeting is council's opportunity to hear from the community and not a time to engage in debate. Lastly, per state law, this public comment period cannot be used to speak in support of or in opposition to a ballot measure or individual candidacy, and no such comments will be allowed.
Thank you. With that, you have 3 minutes each of you, and I will go ahead, and when you do hit the 3 minutes, there'll be a 30-second notification, but when you hit the 3-minute mark, I will try to be as polite as possible, but I will ask you to bring it to an end. It's very important that I treat everyone equally, regardless of the subject matter or the tone, whatever the case may be. So the first individual is John Hopkins. Please come forward.
John Hopkins, District 1. I've already got flyers for all along the Riverwalk. This will be held on Pierce Trails Day, which of course is highly appropriate. You know, we'll be representing Puyallup, trying to showcase the Riverwalk. And I think that's a very important thing, considering how much money we got into it for one thing. And we also need to dispel some of the myths that are out there in regard to people thinking it's unsafe. Personally, I would disagree. So what we're doing with this event is lots of stuff. Building on the success of last year actually is what it comes down to. So far, we have 66 craft vendors, coffee vendor, kettle corn, African food vendor, 4 musical acts, a children's musician, a funk pop band, a children's DJ who will promote dance circles, and a singing chef. Note that we're doing a lot more kids-friendly stuff. And we're also doing it more focused on Veterans Park. Well, the other end by Goodwill is a little challenging at this point, but it'll be focused at Veterans Park. There's also 2 bounce houses, a foam machine, a face painter, 1 henna artist, and that's what we've got so far. There will be more, believe it or not. So there'll be a lot more entertainment, a lot more artists, a lot more craft people. And I want to point out that this is a true partnership. The city in particular with the money, Parks and Recs, absolutely wonderful. Parking, King Family Fun is generously providing some parking. Pierce Trails Day, other partners are Foothills Rails to Trails. They're the actual presenting partner, and that's important. Arts Downtown are providing the artists, and this is for aspiring artists. We're not charging for the booths, you know, not a dime for the booths. They're free. And if they are a presenting artist, the first 25 will actually get a stipend. And this is unheard of in the world of artists. They're just delighted. And that's why most of them have come back this year. Like I said, centered on the Veterans Park, but hopefully we'll get more people parking down at Goodwill or at King Family Fun Sports, Fun, whatever it's called, Fun Center. And afterwards they can do a round of mini golf, right?
Mr. Mayor, speakers reach 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, John, and I thank you for your work on this every year. We appreciate it. Roger Bryan, please.
You'll have to forgive me. I'm not good at this. Roger Bryan, 606 4th Street Northeast. This has to do with the 4th of July of 2023 and hopefully a better response about the 4th of July of 2024. Last year, we had an altercation in my neighborhood where there was a group of people had been drinking. They were firing off aerial fireworks. They had targeted houses. I had called the police department. I went down to the police department. I called 911 and I got no response from anybody. I actually went down and I looked for an officer to try to find somebody I could talk to complain about that maybe can control what the situation was in my neighborhood. And there was nobody. And so I, at that time, Mary Castema is a neighbor and he was my city councilman. Explained to him at that time what had happened. He got the city manager to call me, and I thank you for that. And then he got Deputy Chief Dougal to call me. And so I stated my case and I stated what had happened and I stated about the lack of response during the 4th of July. And I don't want to be disrespectful, but all I got from the police department was lip service. They said it's not our fault. We put a total of 2 more officers on to cover all of the things going on the 4th of July. I talked to him about the 911 response and how it was dropped. And he said, that's not our responsibility because it's handled out of Puyallup. It's not our responsibility. And that's what I got. So what I'm asking for, and there's nothing you can do about it this year, but you know, I put in a complaint. I put it in online. It's been there for 11 months. The only thing I get back from the police department is that, you know, they have not made any decisions on this. They have not, they have not looked into it. And I get one of these messages email about once a month. So, you know, I don't want to be too cynical, but, you know, for me, you know, the safety building just lost, you know, the vote on the safety and I voted against it, you know, mostly
30
because
seconds.
I don't feel that we're protected in our, especially downtown area. You know, I don't want to blow my own horn, but I'm a Vietnam veteran. I have faced altercations before. I went up to the family and I asked them to please, stop the fireworks. And they asked me where I lived, and then they started targeting my house. And so that's when I went and tried to find a police officer. I am well prepared to be
Mr.
able to
Mayor,
protect
speakers reach 3 minutes.
okay, prepared to protect my family and my property. So I hope you will give some kind of consideration to this 4th of July and next 4th of July.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Roger, I'll tell you what I will do. If you could please, go ahead, and have a seat, but don't leave quite yet because I'm going to have Deputy Chief McDonald go ahead and talk specifically to what you just said, because I think that they are trying to take corrective action. And I think he can kind of forensically talk a little bit more about last year and provide maybe an explanation. But never, please wait until all the comments are through. Next, Marilyn Anderson.
My name is Marilyn Anderson and I live at 911 11th Street Northwest. Shortly after my husband and I moved into our home, we contacted the city about the poor drainage along the street. City street crews came in the spring of 2014 and poured coarse gravel and stated they would return in 3 to 4 months and lay a supply of finer gravel. After coming to a city council meeting in October of 2023 and complaining about the time lapse, 9-year time lapse, who cares?
Excuse me, Marilyn,
Of the,
could you speak into the microphone?
oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Can you restart her timer?
Please go ahead and start the timer over. Clerk, if you don't, I hate to have you do this, but could you start at the top?
Yes.
Okay, please do.
Okay. Shortly after my husband and I moved into our home on 11th Street Northwest in 2013, we contacted the city about the poor drainage along the street. City street crews came in the spring of 2014 and poured coarse gravel and stated they would return in 3 to 4 months and lay a supply of finer gravel. After coming to a council meeting in October of 2023 and complaining about the time lapse of installation of finer gravel, it was finally done last November. At that time, Scott Hill, City of Puyallup Street Division Supervisor, visited with me and supervised the new gravel installation. I asked him that day about sidewalks being installed on 11th Street Northwest. His reply, not in the near future, as it would probably cost over $1 million. Following our statements, information I brought to the city council meeting last October. In 2016, I attended a city district meeting at which time I spoke about the speed limit on 11th Street Northwest. A few of the reasons I requested a lower speed limit were no continuous sidewalks on either side of the street. There were other things that I have too, but because of time. So as a neighborhood have tolerated the speed limit, but how many more years do we have to deal without curbed sidewalks? I also came to the meeting regarding the 5th Avenue Northwest Improvement Project neighborhood meeting on April 30th, 2024. How interesting it was to hear the details and the cost of that project. Yet the city states it will cost too much and cannot afford to even put curbed sidewalks on one side of 11th Street Northwest. And there is a school crossing on 11th Street. When I previously came to the city council meeting, I asked about what about the possibility of a roundabout or stop signs for that crossing, because there's very seldom ever a crossing flagger there. So,
30 seconds.
well, I'll talk about other stuff at another time.
Marilyn, if you would just take my card here and go ahead and call. And I'd like to talk about this further with you, okay? Right, would appreciate that. With that, we'll move on to the next. Thank you for your comments, by the way. Tim Mellema.
Hello, I'm Tim Elema. I live at 331st or 335th and Meridian in Eatonville, Washington. I wanted to talk about a couple things. Thank you for putting those rocks in front of in the city property in front of New Hope. I founded about 10 years ago a cleanup Puyallup trying to help clean up the city. I took a video of that. It went viral. The video reached 779,553 people nationally and internationally. The post engagement was 60,000, oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, 60,148 people. Just to give you an idea, we hear a couple people that are so loud and so boisterous saying, oh, you're doing horrible things, you're doing horrible things. We had 3,300 responses, and this is a 779,000 people that watched it. 3,200 were thumbs up, 70 were hearts, 50 laughy faces or whatever they are, 35 frowns, 24 unsmiley faces, 9 wide open faces, and 2 sad faces. 99.06% positive. What you guys did by putting those rocks in there and stopping the just desecration of downtown was fantastic. So people can talk, people can be loud, people can be obnoxious, but the reality is 99.06 people in the world appreciated what you guys did by putting those rocks in there and stopping New Hope from desecrating that public space. It's clean months later. Don't know if you're aware, but the Puyallup Sumner Chamber of Commerce let their CEO go with no notice, 5 years. The only person in the entire thing that has any business experience. They're going woke, they're going DEI. They literally got rid of the only thing that they had good going for them. They fired Tara, let her go with no notice in violation of their own bylaws. So crazy stuff, horrible. And then thirdly and last, Gocha's running for Pierce County. I'm not speaking to that, but it is going to become a big deal. The stop that was made on Julie Dorr that Steve Kirkley and Ingo were involved in. It's going to hit the news in the next
30
week.
seconds.
So if you as a council aren't super familiar with that impropriety, I would strongly encourage the new members to educate themselves on it, to read about it. Puyallup's going to be in the news in the next 2 weeks based on the Pierce County Sheriff and based on what Ingle did and what Kirkley did with that DUI or with that stop that was not a DUI. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, excuse me, thank you. Vicky, is it Busey? Bussey.
Hi, I'm Vicky Bussey. I live in Viking Co-op over on 7th Southeast. And thank you for hearing us here today. I speak for myself and for all of us in Viking Co-op. About me, I was born in Good Samaritan Hospital, raised in the city of Puyallup. I'm a Viking, and I lived here all my life and returned here to Viking in retirement. And because I love this town, I love this community, and my heart was here, so I returned. Unfortunately, I'm embarrassed to have my friends and neighbors come and visit me at Viking because they have to drive around that corner, which I disrespectfully refer to as the ghetto, and they have to pass that to come to our well-kept community. And it's an embarrassment to me to have people come around that corner that's in such disrepair. I believe it's a fire hazard. I believe it's probably a breeding ground for rodents and insects because of the garbage bags stored, stacked in pickup trucks and unused vehicles back there. And I think it's a waste of a nice piece of property that could be a commercial site and be much better use of that nice property. I would be asking that the city and the property owner, or in conjunction, would do something to clean that up and make them just make that property available for better use, because it's just an eyesore for all of us in the community. And we have neighbors here that live around Viking that also have the same feeling. And I thank you for hearing us today because we've all been after this for many, many years and have seen no response. So I thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate those comments.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor,
Yes?
could I get some clarity on what address or facility she's talking about so I can at least?
Oh, I apologize. That is it's 702 Pioneer Avenue. It's actually a piece of property they're referencing is right when you'd be going eastbound on Pioneer and you're going to take the first exit going southbound on 512 there. Right as you go around the corner, they're referencing the piece of property on that corner. Seven. Right. It's right before you get on the freeway, right there. Does that make in the vicinity you have St. Francis House? Yeah, in that vicinity. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome. Celia Gerstner.
My name is Celia Gershner. I live at 3257 Place Southeast. I also live in Co-op Viking and, sorry. And I've only lived there for about 3 years. The time I lived there 3 years, we have like a dog area there where we take our dogs and stuff and let the dogs do business. And like I said, in the corner there in the fence, there's cars there that's parked there. When I was there, there's maybe about 3-4 trucks there, cars there. But now it's like a lot. There's a camper trailer there, and it's just making our area just look really trashy and stuff. And I think we got dead animals, rats that come to our property, and it's just really super ridiculous to see that. I'm embarrassed to even go out there, or even to bring my friends out there, bring their dogs out there to even see it. And it's like I said, it looks like really bad, and we'd like to have it cleaned up or have something done with it.
Okay, thank you, Celia. I actually made a mistake on some names there. Vicky, I called you Laura when you were through. That is Laura. Yes, exactly. Laura, if you'd like to come forward, please. Thank you. Thank you, Celia.
I'm Laura Lair. I live in the Viking. And my petition is all about how many people I got to sign about this 702 corner. I have pictures of the garbage. My main thing is when you come off the freeway there, I would think that Puyallup, I've lived here for about 8 years, would want to see something besides that when they come off the freeway. It's embarrassing. Fair time is coming. You know, Meeker Days is coming, and that's the first thing they're going to see. And it's sad because it's so much more than that, this town. My main concern too is the rats. They've increased substantially. They have goats there too. And the size of the place where they have the goats is shrinking because there's so many trucks and stuff in there now. So they don't have what they should have according to the rules, not even close. There's a lot of garbage, a lot of drug dealing. When I first got here on the house on the corner, I don't see that so much anymore. It's just garbage now. There's a pit bull back there. And there's also been, according to what I could find, 10 compliance code violations sent in. I have copies of them here. And nothing's been done. So it's just, please do something. I heard through the grapevine that there was an offer on the property. So with any luck, you know, something will get done. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Laura, thank you. Please go ahead and submit the petition to me. And I understand there are a lot of people here this evening who are here regarding this particular issue. If you'd like to raise your hand or stand, raise your hand's fine. Okay, just so that council members know who you are, because I noticed that all of you aren't going to be speaking. You're welcome to, but that's enough of an acknowledgement there. And Laura, thank you. I assure you, the city would, okay, we have one more person who provided this, and then I will go ahead and open that up. Paul Romich.
Thank you, Mayor Castma. Paul Romich, District 1. I'm not sure if you've checked the weather report for this weekend, but unfortunately, the nice sunshine is probably going to go away. Not too dissimilar to our financial meteorologist Barbara Lopez's report last week. But how do we, kind of keep the sunshine going long term, right? We're at the whims of sales tax revenue more and more every year with the restraints that we have on us as a city. But what decisions can the city council make that can help us through these more difficult times, right? And help us. And previously, at a previous update, there were a couple council members mentioned how they want to move more, try to get more property tax percent as a percentage of revenue rather than be so reliant on sales tax. Well, I mean, beyond expanding the city and capturing more sales tax revenue from different sources, there's another way. In the spirit of frugality, I kind of stumbled upon and looked at a consulting report performed for the city of Bothell, a fairly similar city to Puyallup in some respects. And this consulting report was done by a firm called Urban 3, and their specialty is looking at tax revenue and tax and city cost over the area of the city. So at a parcel per parcel basis, what type of parcels were providing the most tax revenue, sales or property specifically, and then they unfortunately they didn't do a expense for Bothell, but they also perform like which types of properties or which types of land use cost the most for the city services. And ultimately, there is a way forward, and I hope and that's made clear through and through Urban 3's work, not just for Bothell, but for other places as well. That's building more downtown style development, enabling that to be built, is what brings cities the highest productive value out of their land. So that's what Puyallup, I've done kind of a back of the napkin math as well using the Pierce County portal. That's what Puyallup gets from a per acre basis. Nothing beats downtown property tax productivity. So if we want to, why do we gate
30 seconds.
or land use for downtown to downtown? We should enable it more in different areas of the city to enable more community throughout our neighborhoods. Stronger neighborhood centers can create those property tax values that we're hoping to see, and that would be overall increased quality of life, traffic, etc., just by enabling more of the smarter growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. At this time, if there's any individuals who would like to come up and speak who have not signed up, lady, please come forward. And just go ahead and state your name and your address. That would be.
Okay, my name is Linda Hamilton. I live at the Viking 325 7th Place Southeast. And I've lived there for about 8 years now. And after I bought the little place, that's later I noticed that horrible looking house and I thought, oh, this is terrible. I would probably not even have gotten my place if I would have seen, because it is really awful. So I started calling, like I was talking to a guy named Shane for over the last 7.5 years, saying how bad it is. And he would tell me, well, people have been out there, they've got citations, we can't force anything. I agree, it's really, really a mess. And so that's kind of how it's been, all this time. So I'm so happy that all of these people are caring and we're here because it really, really is. It looks like poverty land, Our community is very quaint. It's so cute when you walk through it and everything. Everybody's got it fixed up nice. So we really take pride. And one other thing, I'm a big animal lover. And when I first moved in there, they had a dog that was out all the time in the cold It had a house. I'm not sure it was very clean or anything, but it just broke my heart. And then one day I found out, didn't see it anymore. I found out that at another residence that they backed over it and the poor thing was killed. So that broke my heart. Then they got the goats, and they used to have 3 goats that had kind of the big area. I don't know what happened to the bigger goat. It's gone. And now they've got these 2 sweet goats that they've kind of locked off in a small, boring little area. I feel so sorry for them because they got all those vehicles and whatnot, but you can't even enter into their gate. I mean, I don't understand. And their neighbors too. I think they're connected. I think they're all renters. And I believe Shane said that whoever owns these places, maybe it's all family, but they've got other places and they're all really bad as well. So he said we can't force anything, but I just don't think we should have to put up with this anymore. I've seen their garage open. It's just absolutely stuffed. Who knows what's in there, you know? So anyway, I'd just be so thankful if we could drive by our place and enjoy things looking cleaned up and whatnot.
Okay,
Of course, I feel about the animals. I've called Metro about that, and they've even
30
said,
seconds.
it's not an ideal situation, but it's passable basically. So I feel sorry for them as well.
thank you for your testimony. Is there anyone else who would like to, ma'am, please come forward.
I'm Gladys Smith. I'm a Viking resident as well. I think everybody that has spoke tonight has had a legitimate complaint. But one of my biggest concerns is that there are 3 or more RVs on the property. And to my knowledge, none of them have any sewer hookup. There's also all these cars and trucks sitting there with fuel and oil. And my concern is the environment as well as a fire hazard. And I live very close to that area, and I keep my hose out every night just in case, because of the on-ramp. If there's ever a spark, we're gone. That's for sure, especially in the dry heat. But that's about my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Let me just say to all of you, that all your comments have been noted. The petition, I have noted that. We will thoroughly investigate this as a city. You have my word on that. And we'll look into every possibility that is there. And I hope to be in contact. Laura, if you're that, you seem to be the focal point there. I'm sorry, I just appointed you that. Yeah, it's how it kind of happens. Take it from me. So we'll go ahead and we'll get back with you, okay? With that, I would, before you leave, I would like to have Deputy Chief McDonald come forward. He is here instead of our police chief this evening. And he's the spokesperson for the Puyallup Police Department, and he would like to address the fireworks issue, and I think can kind of enlighten us on what went on last year and what will go on this year. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Deputy Chief Dave McDonald from the Police Department. Let me preface my comments by saying I'm not prepared to talk about our plan tonight, but so it's been about a year since we were planning from last year and recovering from what was, I believe, as I recall, a countywide 911 outage on the 4th of July. 4th of July is one of the busiest times of our year at the Puyallup Police Department, outside of maybe a busy fair day as far as call load and calls for service. We are extremely busy. We're running from call to call to call. We're usually at minimum staffing because it's a holiday in July as far as number of police officers on the street. We usually try to staff it with a couple extra police officers dedicated solely to fireworks enforcement. And we take the approach of education, confiscation, and enforcement as those things are necessary. There's one thing we commonly do, and I feel it's important to point out. 10 years ago, anything that flew in the air was illegal, right? They're aerial, it must be illegal. But that's not the case now. There are many legal fireworks that do fly in the air and are called mortars. They're legal. And a lot of people don't understand that. How can that be legal? It just flew over my tree, but it is legal. So what is illegal continues to be illegal are things that are fireworks that explode and things with fins and or sticks like bottle rockets, those types of things. But there's a lot of aerial. So a lot of our job is educating. We'll go respond to a complaint and say, yep, these are all safe and sane, purchased legally at a licensed dealer here in the city. And if you're between 9 a.m. and 11 p.m. of 4th of July, it's legal to set those out, set those off. That's the law in the municipal code. So I recall last year, just from my memory recall from a year ago, we had hundreds of fireworks related complaints. And it is very difficult for us to get to all of those in a timely manner. That's probably one of our lowest response times for calls and lowest response times for the day of the year. We might not get to a fireworks call for an hour later. Maybe it's all quiet there. So we drive through the neighborhood, we clear that call. One other point I'd say, it does no good to speed up the process of getting contact with a 911 operator or a police officer by going to the police station in Puyallup after hours. The police station is not staffed. All our officers are out in the field in their districts patrolling. There's a phone there but it connects you to the same 911 center, the non-emergency line that you call from your home phone or your cell phone. So the only reason you'd go to the police department to try to contact somebody is if you don't have a phone. But it is important. Last year, there was a very unusual situation where I believe there's a 911 outage and hundreds, if not thousands of calls were dropped countywide because of the overload of the 911 system on the 4th of July due to massive reporting of fireworks violations, from Tacoma to Pierce County to Puyallup and all the small cities. This year, we do plan on having extra officers out again, and we do partner with the Central Pierce Fire Marshals, Deputy Fire Marshals. And so we pre-arrange scheduled shifts and we're out there and sometimes we ride with them. We haven't connected with them yet. We will before the 4th of July. The Deputy Fire Marshals, and sometimes we go out alone to support them. And sometimes we commingle even in the patrol car or the Deputy Fire Marshal's vehicles to respond to those calls for service and respond to as many as we can, knowing that there's hundreds of them on the CAD, on the active call sheet. I don't know if that appeases Mr. Bryan, maybe not.
The question I have is, have there been corrective actions in the 911? Do you suspect that after it crashed last year, that has been corrected to your knowledge?
I believe I saw things over the later months after July from South Sound 911 that they have a plan to be more prepared for the call load. It was an unusual thing with the phone system to have dropped so many calls, and people were on hold for long periods of time, and sometimes they just got dropped. Yeah, it was a serious exercise in patience for people trying to report emergencies last 4th of July.
Okay. Well, I appreciate this. This was on short notice. He had no idea that I was going to. I had just talked to him for a few minutes before this. I appreciate you coming forward like this.
Okay.
And maybe we could find out if there is in fact a corrective policy, and if so, before the 4th of July. On the 2nd, it was our next meeting. I can announce that.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you again for being here. We're now going to move on to other items on the agenda. They're not really super exciting. So if you would like to leave, feel free to do so. I will not believe you to be rude or anything if you decide to leave. And if you don't mind, I will just continue on the business as you go ahead and exit. Thank you. So we're going to move on to number 3 on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. Is there any item on the consent agenda that a council member would like to have removed for discussion? Councilmember Johnson.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to remove 3D.
Okay, and would you like that discussed this evening?
Sure.
Okay, we'll put that in other business. It will become 3D will become 7D. Okay, do I hear any other objections? Hearing none, I'd like to have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
I make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, let's move on to ordinances. This is the second reading of an ordinance to amend Title III, Title 20 of the Puyallup Municipal Code. We heard this on our last meeting. Please, Meredith Neal.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Last week, Katie Baker presented a small package of code amendments for your consideration and requested the first reading of the ordinance. These are all relatively minor adjustments to the code, mostly made in response to various customer requests. Tonight, I'm here to answer any additional questions you may have and to request a second reading of the ordinance approving these code amendments as recommended by the Planning Commission. So with that.
Councilmember Johnson, you're in queue there. Is that just from the last one? Okay. Any other member? Okay, with that, do I have a motion to approve second reading of the ordinance?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, we'll now have a roll call.
Councilmember Adler,
Aye.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Deputy Mayor King,
Aye.
Councilmember Gilliam,
Aye.
Councilmember Whitting,
Aye.
Councilmember Dorr,
Aye.
Mayor Castma.
Aye. Councilmember Johnson, your name is there.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a kind of point of order of clarity. I think this is a wonderful thing that we passed and that staff teed up for us based off of feedback. I'd like to know from staff, I would imagine, is this going to be publicized so that the incentives, the industry will know about this? Because they may or may not be aware of some of the incentives that this is going to provide in terms of a credit.
Are you talking about the sales and use tax one for affordable homeownership?
Yeah.
Certainly we can work on that. So this is basically allowing that to happen. Probably we need to come back to council to figure out if there was a particular program that we might like to create out of this. So this is allowing us the ability to use those funds for affordable homeownership, but there's probably a next step that would be exactly how we might want to do that.
Okay, so the details are still being worked out. There's nothing
Correct.
specific. Okay, so this is a general, we're going to look into this and fine tune it. Okay.
And so it would allow for either an organization to come and request funds, or it would allow for us to create a program that could give funds in certain cases for affordable homeownership.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
You're welcome. Councilmember Whitting.
I just wanted to call attention to a citizen letter that came in earlier today on this ownership issue from Habitat for Humanity, and they've expressed their support. So I'm sure they'll be happy by our action. Thank you.
Thank you. I think they'll be happy recipients too. It's a good organization. With that, let's move on to number 5, resolutions. Thank you, Meredith.
Sure.
Resolution adopting incentives for sanitary sewer extensions. City Engineer Hans Hunger will give a presentation. We've already had a presentation on this, a preliminary one, and I assume that the policy details have been worked out between then and now based on that direction. Please. proceed.
Yes, so Hans Hunger, city engineer, mayor and council. I'm here to present the policy that was attached to the agenda item. From what we discussed before, now the background here, trying to create a policy that will allow us to incentivize sewer extensions into areas that are desirable for us to get sewers out there by private developments extending these sewers. And so really, again, the basis of this is we aren't seeing these extensions done right now. They're a way that we are expecting to get our sewer extended out to the edges of the city and stuff, but they're not happening now. So we're creating a program to create some incentives. With that, some of the tailoring that we did since the presentation last was we are seeing sewer extensions for commercial development. We've seen that several times in the last few years. So this policy specifically tries to give the guidance that this is for residential uses where we've got private residential being created there. It also tries to emphasize that the benefits to the city are not just getting sewers out to these areas. We're trying to establish housing in these areas and housing to the density that our comp plan is. So that's why we tailored this program to be for those types of housing developments that would propose there. We also clarified that there's a point when a development should really be paying for the full amount of the sewer extension. And that point is where they're using up half the capacity in that pipe. They're really, all the other areas that would connect into that pipe would be less than 50% of the use of that development. At that point, it's really primarily for the developer. And so we're trying to, although maintain some flexibility with this policy, we're trying to forecast how is our decision going to be made, whether we're going to accept them into this incentive program or not. So that's a key distinction there. Another distinction, I mean, the art of creating, like, how many units could be connected to this sewer pipe based on the zoning, based on the existing land use or proposed land uses that are already in the pipeline and stuff, is a little bit of an art there. So that's directed in the policy, just kind of outlining how we calculate that out. Very much followed from by the county system that we're mimicking the program for, but also tailored to the city, where the county does their dimensions on how many lots you can get on. They do it a little differently than the city. So we had to tailor this for ours there. And so those are the major changes there. I want to just look through to make sure I didn't highlight anything else in this. Oh, there is one important part. One of the things that I discussed last time is if we should be making sure that this has some component for like attaining attainable housing or affordable housing. That's a really hard nut to crack. But one of the things that I was really focused on is I don't want us to kind of have to, put somebody into this program if they are removing affordable housing, existing affordable housing with their development. So there's a part into this policy that has if you are removing affordable housing as part of your development, you have to show that you're mitigating with creating more affordable housing. It's little things like this that I think can add up to us trying to preserve the affordable housing in this city the way it can. And certainly if it's up to the city to participate in an incentive program or not, I want them to not be removing affordable housing. So we'll have to see how that one plays out and stuff with that. But I'm trying to telegraph ahead of time with the policy and anybody that wants to use this, that will be a consideration if you're applying to use this program, but you're removing. I think it would just be a black eye to the city if we're incentivizing a development by helping out with their sewer extension and they're removing attainable housing as part of their development stuff. So that was the idea there. But I will admit that, that's my best shot at wording that into there. And this is a policy. We can make adaptations as we go along if we need to there. So those are the really substantive changes that were made as part of development. We've worked closely with our attorney, Joe Beck, on ferreting this out, getting the pieces right and stuff. What I'd like to also propose is, this is a new policy. I'd like to be able to come back to the council and kind of give updates on how's it going? How many people did we get, taking us up on this offer that want to use this? And, what were the results of it and stuff? So that's something that I'd like to do because we can make changes to this as it goes along. So with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor, and be readily available for any questions.
Councilmember Johnson, your name is up again.
Thank you. So Hans, is this a revision based off of the first time we heard a presentation with this added affordable housing verbiage added in here? Or has this always been in this kind of play or plan?
What I brought up last time, which was more just the
Concept.
kind of the concept of there, was should we consider something in there for
Okay.
that to try to,
Okay.
and so this was what I heard back was some feedback from council saying that could be something we want to include in this. So this was my shot at putting something.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm concerned with that. I'll tell you why. What's the metrics of this? How do we decide what is displacing affordable housing? For example, what if for example, this derelict place that we talked about here could be classified as affordable housing by Viking. But if someone, buys that and tears it down, they want to do something that's a little nicer. It's certainly going to replace that kind of low income housing. How do we kind of marginalize that or define that so that we can make sure we're providing true incentive and allow for upgrades to, broken down or derelict houses or just old houses that need something new, which is going to cost more? I'm concerned with the moving line or bar on that.
My optics on that would be to look towards using established policies, such as when we buy land, we have to use the Uniform Relocation Act, which has measures in there if people are being displaced or something, that how you mitigate for that. So I would be trying to use that. It has metrics in there for when something is affordable or not, based on the average median income for an area and stuff. So that's what I'd be trying to use for that. But as I said, I think in this case, there is enough flexibility in here that we're trying to prompt a discussion with the developer to see what are you removing and what are you placing. In a lot of cases, if you're taking an area that has maybe a 10-acre tract that has a single family home on, and you're developing and you're buying up that home and moving, I think there's no issue there. I'm more concerned if you're taking a 10-acre that has many rental units that are affordable,
Okay,
and you're converting those into homes that really aren't attainable for those
Gotcha.
people. That's what
okay, so it would be a pretty narrow bar there in specifics like you're talking about there. So for example, this one we had up the hill recently where the mobile homes were there, that particular developer couldn't apply under this current verbiage for any credits because they're taking affordable home ownership and they're putting in something massive there. Is that a fair
I
analysis?
think that's a fair analogy.
Okay, all right. Yeah, as long as there's some latitude there, I just don't want to have good intention, but have unintended consequences if that is an improvement to the lot and to the neighborhood based off of some rundown places that, certainly could use an upgrade and be perhaps unintentionally fall under, you're not qualified. All right, thank you. Oh, one more question. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
On your revision, on this particular incentive, this didn't come up in kind of a silo with the city. This was discovered through discussions with industry, as you've been meeting with industry. They've been voicing some concerns or suggestions. Is that how this came up?
That's correct. We have a subcommittee of our Puyallup Permitting Partnership Group that's been meeting for now 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
And so it was worked out based on a model that comes from Pierce County. They've been implementing this incentive program now for 5 years.
Okay. With that in mind, do you think this element that you've added here with the affordable housing exemption, do you think they would find a concern, or have they been vetted on this, or what are your thoughts? Do you think this would not apply to most of them? Can you give me a sense of are they aware of this scenario? Because I know they came up with a general scenario, but are they aware of this specific scenario? And if so, should that be vetted and ask them for anything that maybe we're missing that we haven't seen before we kind of go down the road and have to back up?
Yes, we did meet with them after our meeting with council last time to talk about some of these different areas, and had general consensus that this was something, that they could achieve and stuff. The thought is there's a variety of ways to mitigate this too. Just because you're eliminating maybe some affordable housing doesn't mean it's out of the question. One of the thoughts that came to mind is if you were building new homes on this 10-acre plot, and you added detached accessory dwelling units to the homes and stuff that then could be rented at a market rate that would be affordable.
Sure.
So
Okay.
there are ways to mitigate.
Well, thank you for letting me kind of drill down. I just think it's important. One of the biggest things, I talk to a lot of developers in my profession, and one of the biggest cost prohibitors is sewer septic to pencil out. And so developers want to build new housing, but when they pencil out the sewer septic, it's like it doesn't pencil out. So we have tracts of land that aren't being developed that we could have high density housing in our land. And this incentive could open that up a little bit to provide some incentives while still increasing our housing density and providing nice housing for our residents that want to move to Puyallup. So I think it's a great idea. Thanks for your leadership on this, Hans.
Thank you.
I've actually been out with a developer, and I think this will be used primarily in more open space scenarios where you've got undeveloped land, like off Fruitland Avenue. There's a lot of property in that area where this type of incentive would be perfect for someone putting in a development. You'd be surprised how much kind of minor farming land we still have within the city limits that they would like to put a development, but they have to span a long distance to get there. And I do believe that is what we will primarily see as far as utilizing this incentive. Otherwise, you will probably find a lot of that infrastructure very close, tight to a lot of the redevelopment areas that are kind of more urbanized, so to speak. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the resolution? And by the way, just for a point of order, we have to just approve a resolution. And I don't believe there's any roll call involved in this, and there's no first reading or second reading, correct?
Yes, that you're, Mr. Mayor, Sean Arthur, Deputy City Attorney. Yes, that's all correct. According to the council rules, all that has to be done is a
Okay,
voice vote.
fine. Do I hear a motion to?
Mr. Mayor,
approve?
I'd like to
Yes.
make a motion to pass this resolution as stated before us.
Okay, there's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, there's no need for a roll call. Roll call. The resolution passes. Now let's move on to number 6, consideration and requests. Thank you, Hans, by the way. Consideration and requests, Sound Affordability Partnership, membership and budget. Council Member Whitting, you can take front and center.
Thank you.
Or you can speak from there. Go ahead.
I'll speak from my seat.
Okay.
As the council representative on the South Sound Housing Affordability, Attainability, and Accessibility Partners, which represents over 95% of the population of Pierce County, I'm bringing this forward today. We approve our membership on an annual basis. So this is the opportunity for us to do that. In my work with SHAPE, the acronym, SHAPE brings us some expertise that goes beyond what our city staff has. It encourages collaboration with those other cities throughout the county on a number of different areas. Allows us to they are very good at connecting us to people with the knowledge and expertise that we're looking for, and I've used that on a number of occasions. And they help administer things. We've recently approved some multifamily tax exemption zoning expansions, and as we get developers working in that area, the administration required of maintaining those tax exemptions and being sure that all the I's are dotted and T's crossed can be pretty time consuming and might require some additional staffing, but that's an example of a function that SHAPE may be able to take on for the county as a whole, and would thereby reduce the amount of effort that we'd have to put in at the city level. So I see them as being a force multiplier. The budget for the Puyallup share of the budget is less than $14,000 a year. I think it's money well spent, and I move that we approve our ongoing membership and the annual budget of a little over less than $14,000.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, now discussion. Councilmember Johnson, you're up again. Oh, okay. So it's been moved and seconded. I wonder if, let's make it for $14,000 or at the appropriate amount. I want to be a little bit more precise, and I'd rather err on being conservative. So the motion is for $14,000 or less, which depending.
Up to 14.
Up to 4, that's, you made the motion, that was better. Up to 14,000, and it's moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Thank you, Councilmember Whitting. Good points. Moving on to number 7, other business, city clerk's office strategic plan.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. I'm just waiting for the PowerPoint to come up. There we go. Good evening, Mayor Castman and council members. My name is Dan Vessels. I am the city clerk with the city of Puyallup. And before we get started, first thing I'd like to do is introduce my staff that are over here to my left. We have Aaron Pretty, Yesenia Abakara, and Zamara Crockett, our public records specialist. The 3 that you see before you and myself comprise our city clerk's team. And what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about our strategic plan. Just for historical purposes, We did have a historic strategic plan that was presented to you in 2019 by the then clerk, Mary Winter. So this is a refresh of that with the assistance of Talika, and we will talk a little bit more about what we're going to do. We're going to talk about our department overview. We're going to discuss the SWOT that we've recently done, talk about our goals and performance measures, and some initiatives that I've taken since I've been with the clerk's office. So just going over our department overview, basically the city clerk's office is I like to call it the front door to the city of Puyallup. When individuals within the city need something, they call the main phone line. When they don't know who to talk to, they talk to either myself or my staff, and we direct them in the right place. We are also the record keeper of the history of the city. So we take care of ordinances, resolutions, minutes for all meetings, commissions, boards. And just to give you some historical context on that, we've recently done an audit, which you'll see on the slide before you. We've transferred 157 boxes of records to the state archives, or we've had those destroyed per retention records. And some of the documents that were transferred include and if I'm incorrect on some of these, let me know, an 1890 deed where the city of Puyallup purchased the land that's across the street for Pioneer Park for $10. That was an original document that we located in our file vault. We've also discovered other land gift deeds where the city had purchased land for $1 in the early 1900s. We have records going back to the first resolution, ordinances going back as low as, I think, number 1 we have on microphone. So we have the complete history of the city downstairs. There we go. Taking a look at our SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Well, we're the city. Everybody has those. So just a couple things to highlight. Some of our strengths, we are nimble. We are communicating effectively with each other and with other departments within the city. We want to react to the needs of the constituents and our internal and our external customers. What opportunities that present? Well, we're always looking to collaborate with other departments to streamline citywide records, citywide programs, things that we do, development and permitting services, finance, the police department. How can we streamline these, make them better? Some of these weaknesses that we have. Well, because we are a smaller department, when we have somebody that is out sick, somebody that's on vacation, does present some unique challenges for my department. But we are able to overcome those as best we can with teamwork, rescheduling, and use of technology. And then we talk about our threats. We want to make sure that our records management is standardized across the board. Whether documents are named a certain way in development permitting services, finance, when a public records request comes in, we work with that to make sure that those records are given out appropriately. Now let's take a look at some areas of focus, including customer service and relationships. Over the next few years, we're going to use certain performance measures to make sure that we hit these goals. We're going to use next request, public records, customer ratings. How quickly are we getting records out, and how fast do we respond? Does that 5-day letter come out in 5 days, 3 days? Are we getting out same day? We're going to look at business license issuance time. If someone wants a special business license for a food truck, temporary stand, temporary fair parking, how fast are we getting those out as compared to in the past? And then we're also going to look at OPMA trainings provided to city staff, as well as members of our volunteer boards and commissions. And there you have some of the initiatives before you. One of the initiatives that I'll just talk about is that we have recently digitized and automated the process of all of our special business licenses through Civic Optimize software suite. So a couple slides ago, you saw that you may have seen we used Laserfish. That was what I like to call version 1.0. Thanks to the assistance of Amit and IT and his crew, we now use Civic Optimize. The system is faster. It's also mobile. So if someone wants to apply on an iPhone, iPad, laptop, computer, they can do so much easier. If someone doesn't have that software, we have an iPad in our lobby. They can come in, either myself or my staff. We can assist them in getting that application completed, and the entire thing is digitized. The special business license is issued and it's sent out by email. So instead of getting that in a matter of days, they're now getting it in a matter of hours or minutes. Another area of focus is our internal process. Here, we're going to track this based off the number of records that we've transferred to the Washington State Archives. Again, we've transferred or handled 157 boxes in the last year. We are currently working with our public record specialists in the state archives on a digital portal. Recently, we've moved to the use of DocuSign for ordinances and resolutions. In the past, we would have to get those. We would hold on to them for a set time period. We would then call the state archives. They would come up to our office. We would transmit a box of paperwork. Through some work that we've done now with Zamora, we are working on, and we're almost there with a digital portal. So once the documents are signed, we can digitally transfer that to the state archives. Provides for much faster, much more efficient use of taxpayer dollars, both for us and for the state. Another area of focus that we have is learning and growth. We're going to focus here on employee engagement ratings, as well as post-training employee performance. Some of the things that we're going to look at, I am currently working on getting my certification as a municipal clerk through IIMC. Zamora is working on her Washington Public Records Officer certification. And then I've recently talked to some of my other staff about going through what is called professional development courses, possibly next year through the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, which actually takes place for Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Alaska, and Hawaii, locally at the University of Puget Sound in Tacoma. So that's something that I'll be looking at my staff for next year. And then we're stewards of the community. We work for the city. So we want to make sure that we have financial performance as one of our goals. And here, the ultimate goal is, how can we save money? Some of the things that we have done in the last year, we've moved council packets from paper to the digital iPad. We estimate this is saving us over $6,000 a biennium just on paper, printing, and staff time. We're also continuing to look at new ways that we can utilize our time and our money effectively. One of those we are currently piloting is the use of AI, or artificial intelligence, for the creation of city council meeting minutes. I just recently went to a convention and was able to find a software developer that has that. So what we do is we provide them the software with a copy of the council agenda. We upload the video the next day, and then the AI will cross-reference a complete transcript of everything that is said off of the agenda. It provides us with a summation of council minutes, and then my staff and I work through to evaluate, correct for any errors, and then we provide that to you. As a point of reference, the minutes that you approved at tonight's meeting were generated using that software. Estimating the time that we will save for city council, as well as the 88 board and commission meetings that we have per year, my estimation is we will save 4 months worth of staff time per year on minute generation. That allows us to reach out to collaborate with other departments to look and see what are our abilities, what are our skills, what are we experts at, how can we assist them by taking other programs from them and allowing them to be freed up to take care of things that they can do. With that, I'll open it up to questions.
Thank you, Dan, for that. Appreciate that. What's your strategic planning cycle? I mean, as far as when you go back in and kind of refresh your strategic plan, are you doing that on an annual basis with periodic updates, or what's the schedule?
I believe we'll be doing that on a biennial basis.
Biennial basis.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. That's appropriate. Councilmember Adler?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your presentation and for the background. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you, Dan, for your leadership, but also to thank your staff for being here tonight. And I think that one of you brought a little along. So thank you for the extended hours this evening and for the incredible attention to detail that you all must possess to do this job. So thank you very much. I very much enjoyed learning a bit more. Thanks.
Any further comments? Councilmember Gilliam?
Thank you, Mayor Castema. I am very proud of you. Thank you for all your hard work. 1,500 boxes.
It was 150 boxes?
Okay.
150. Sorry.
I added a couple zeros there. And then you're looking at, through the AI generated meeting notes, of 4 months of staff time saved. energy shifted to being more efficient in other ways for the city.
Correct.
So I just want to say well done and thank you.
Yes.
I'm very impressed, very
And
proud.
we will achieve the 1,500 box goal. The 157 boxes was just from our department. We are going to be working with each department in the city over the next few years. We're actively working with development and permitting services right now on a process to audit all of their records. From there, we will move over to Parks and Rec, Public Works, the police department. We will be systematically working on an annual basis with each department to evaluate those needs and transfer records to the state as appropriate, which will free up space and it will free up time for those departments as well.
Amazing. Well done. Thank you.
So regarding AI, I just was kind of apprised of the 4th generation AI. Sounds like a human being actually, with voice inflection and everything. Doesn't sound robotic at all. Kind of scary. My wife is actually using 4th generation right now. How do you think that will transform the interaction between the public and government services?
I think that if the AI is used in an appropriate manner, it will dramatically reduce the feeling of frustration from our constituents and from the citizens of Puyallup. One thing that I am actively working with right now, and Amit and I have started looking at some of them, are chat bots for the website. There are a lot of them out there, but we're investigating all of them to see one that fits what we want. So as an example, we have FAQs, we have a search feature on our website, but what I would like to see is if someone goes to our website and they have a chat bot, it simply says, they type in library hours or pay a utility bill. Those are easy answers. What I would like to see is if someone goes on there and says, how do I apply for a building permit for a bathroom remodel? The chatbot can provide them with the information from our website and then provide them a link to the page specifically where they can go to apply for that feature. If they go in and they say, I'm a Puyallup resident and I need to contact my council member, it'll ask, what's your address? They provide the address, and then the AI can provide Councilmember Adler in District 1, Councilmember Dorr in District 3, or provide them information that says, you reside in unincorporated Pierce County. You would need to contact your county representative, and here's their contact information. To alleviate that feeling of frustration where I can't find the information on your website, I need to get it now, they know where to go.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Wooding.
I was just wondering if you had considered making your department a profit center. I've got a bunch of boxes of files in my garage that I'd really like to get digitized and taken care of. Do you work weekends? Only in jest.
Thank you, Councilmember Whitting. Well, you're proving yourself, obviously. He ran a big company and boy, you've impressed him. So thank you very much. Appreciate your staff being here this evening and look forward to further updates.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, we're going to move on to 7B, enhancing energy efficiency at the Puyallup wastewater treatment plant. And we're going to have Dan Meiser. Hopefully I got that name correct, probably not. Please proceed.
It was fairly close. Thanks, Mayor. So I'm Dan Messier. I'm the Water Pollution Control Plant Manager. And we're going to go over some energy efficiency projects we've worked with at the this is in conjunction with PSE. So just a little background here on our facility. The original plant was built in 1955 and part of that plant is still in use today. So we got our dollars worth. Our normal flow is 4 million gallons a day. So that's just our normal summer flow. But in the winter, we jump up to 28 million gallons, which is, that's, rain, that kind of thing. The part of downtown, the downtown core is connected. The storm drains are connected to the sewer system. So that's what happens when we get a 2-inch rainstorm. The plant is inundated. So 24/7 operation. We have 18 employees and our sewer collection system was started being built in 1906. So that's just a little bit of our background. Here's the plant. I know a few of you have been out there. We're at 18th Street and River Road, or just off of River Road. Most people don't know it's there, and we try to keep it that way. If we try to not make the newspaper unless it's for a good reason, not a bad reason. And we'll jump into our story. So SEM, Strategic Energy Management. Before we started this cohort, we started this in 2021. We did not have an energy plan in place. We didn't have a budget for strategic energy management. And a lot of our staff was reluctant to participate. And we can chalk that up to, it's just like our homes, where if we tell our children to turn down or to turn off the lights when they leave the room, this is exactly the same thing, but on a grander scale. So some of the staff was reluctant to get into this. Now we have an energy team, which is myself, our plant electrician. We have a supervisor there at the treatment plant, and of course the operators and the maintenance staff. Our goal every year is a 5% improvement. That's on top of each year. So we hit that goal the first, we've hit it every year almost, with the exception of 2022, we hit about 4% improvement. We have monthly meetings with Cascade Energy and PSE. Cascade Energy is the engineering group that PSE has hired to run this program. And this is where we started. So we established a baseline starting in 2019, 2020. And what that did is it provided a cost basis for PSE to look at our treatment plant. The largest project that was associated with this, but was not driven by this project, was the UV replacement. We replaced our UV system. You approved this project in 2018, and it took until 2021 to get it built. We had a little blip in there with COVID, but this was a $3.1 million project. So a large amount of our energy savings was due to this project, but not all. As part of this program, we work with 5 other wastewater treatment plants across Puget Sound. And this was the Kaizen process. So it's a lean process that we meet as a cohort. We talk about the different projects we have going on and the different equipment that we can change, or how do we, improve the efficiency at the treatment plant. And so part of this program was we looked at our equipment, and some of our equipment has been running for 40 years nonstop every day. And so do we need to do that? And that was what part of what we got out of this program was, no, we did not. So we made some changes there. We adjusted set points on certain equipment to make it more efficient. And we changed out a lot of light bulbs, 700 light bulbs just at the treatment plant alone. Went from fluorescent light bulbs to LED light bulbs, and that was a huge change. And also PSE paid for it. So PSE gave us a grant. We paid $1 a light bulb. So and we had to buy 1,200 light bulbs was the minimum. And so we've been using those in other projects around the city wherever we can. So where are we now? We're adding efficiency as a cultural value. And we keep looking at this as how can we keep the process moving forward? We have a list of 57 different projects that we started with. We've accomplished, the presentation says 14, but we're actually up to about 17 now. Just in the last few months, we've figured out a couple more. And part of this is we were looking at what are capital improvement projects coming on and how do we add on to those to make the plant more efficient. Like I said, 700 light bulbs. One of the big projects we did, which it sounds very innocuous and maybe to you or to the layperson, but we changed our aeration blowers, the header pressure, and that saved us a large amount of energy. So that's the biggest energy user in the treatment plant. is the blowers. And we've had a large staff turnover, just like a lot of the other staff or a lot of the other departments. That staff turnover means we have to do more training. And how do we bring those people further along? Not everybody wants to work at a wastewater treatment plant. So how do we get that staff to engage? And then how do we get them to look at it as a cultural value to improve efficiency? So here's some of what our growth line looks like. From 2021 till now, we've saved about 2.5 million kilowatt hours. And I'll bring that into like a real world number for you here. But the percentage of energy efficiency, we've averaged 22% for over the 3 years time span. And I think that's a pretty good goal, or a pretty good number. We have the largest efficiency of the cohort, which is City of Sumner, the King County South plant, and there's 2 plants out on the peninsula that are also part of this. So we've averaged 22% over that time. And how will we maintain our success? We continue to implement new ideas. We still meet with PSE. The city manager approved a continuation of that PSE grant. So we're going into years 4, 5, and 6 of this program. And this program costs nothing to the city. We get money back from it. The first year we got $19,000 back. And since the time we've started, we've saved approximately $204,000 in costs to the city. So 2023, we saved $68,000 in cost that would have been paid if we hadn't done this program. Plus we got money back. So it's a win-win. Other things we look at is how do we keep working on this? And one of those things is we just have to keep looking for these projects and utilizing tried and tested technology. So part of being in that cohort is being able to work with these other plants and use their ideas and maintain, utilize our capital improvement dollars. You approved a couple months ago, $7.5 million, $10 million total project at the treatment plant. And part of that is we're going to be putting in new equipment in some of our buildings. Our computer system is going to get updated in part of the treatment plant. So that's all part of this process. And the last one is motivate our employees to continue this. The employees are the thing that drive it. So if the employees don't have buy-in, they don't have any incentive to do this, it won't happen. And what does our future hold? We have some large capital improvement projects coming up in the next 5-6 years. Utilizing new technology. We were talking about AI earlier. AI is coming into our world as well. The city of Tacoma right now uses AI to help run their treatment plant and optimize it. And so it's the way of the future.
Wow.
It won't not replace an employee, but it may make the process work better. And like I said, getting the employees to buy in. So here is kind of a wrap up of 2023. We accomplished 14 projects. We saved 835,000 kilowatt hours. And to put that in perspective, the normal home uses 1,200 kilowatt hours a year. So that was 67 houses that just the savings powered for a year. And there's the avoided energy cost, almost $67,000. And with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor, for questions.
Thank you. I have a question about you personally. Are you are you a particular belt with Lean Six Sigma?
I'm not.
Okay.
I just jumped into this project pretty much right as I started with the city. So,
But when you say you're doing these 14 different projects, you're going through a Kaizen on 14?
so we started with the 57 projects that we listed.
Right.
And we've been working through just that list of projects, how we can tackle them. The ones we try that are low cost, or a lot of these are very low cost or no cost. A lot of it is behavior modification. So it's just like our homes. Can we turn down our thermostat a little bit? Do we turn off lights? We put in motion activated light switches, things like that.
Second question. Have you ever contemplated, I know Sumner has a biosolids program, and so does Tacoma. And my wife is a gardener. Okay. I'm just being straight with you. Okay. And she's been very curious as to why Puyallup doesn't have a biosolids program where you can, like again, Tacoma, you can go there and Sumner has it for people to utilize. And I don't know if that's an inefficiency offering that, or that's an efficiency.
I think it can go both ways. This is just my belief. So we spend $257,000 a year to haul our biosolids over to Eastern Washington for disposal. But part of that process is we don't have to treat our biosolids to the level that Sumner or Tacoma do, so we don't have that added cost. If we were to do that, we have looked at it in the past, it would require some additional staff and then additional property, or at least another site off-site where we can store those solids. We just don't have the space at our current site.
And how much do you ship, did you say?
I believe our contract last year was $257,000.
Oh, but I mean, how much
So
tonnage?
We send, I believe it's 800 dry tons a year. So we send approximately 2 truckloads a week, which are 60 tons apiece.
Wow. And then the third question I have is, I've driven by there, I've been and walked along the river since I was a little kid. And I've never smelled this. How do you keep the smell down? I seriously, how do you do that?
Sure. So I invite all of you to come out and take a tour. I know some of you have been out there in the past, but we have a number of mitigation ways we can mitigate the odor. And so we have a biofilter that's right in the center of the plant. And what that does is it pulls the odor from different processes, and it comes up through the ground, and it's filtered by the grass that grows there, and that eats the odor. So there's things we could do if there was, more odor complaints. We get about 1 a year, maybe 2. So, and as some of you know, I mean, it's surrounded by homes. We have homes on 3 sides of us. So I think it's just a part of our staff trying to keep the site clean. But part of that's just the odor control process.
Okay. Any further questions by members? Councilmember Dorr.
Not a question, but I have seen your name around and it's nice to see your face, and thank you for being here today. I took a tour of the treatment plant years ago with Rob, but probably we all should do that again. But great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. And like I said, it is open to staff, to anyone for tours. We do Cub Scout tours. We do Puyallup 101. Our tour for Puyallup 101 is part of the most popular part of it. So, yeah, please come out.
Councilmember Gilliam.
Thank you, Mayor Castema. First of all, thank you for the presentation. It was very informative. One of the things I like to, Paul made a really good, I can't even talk right now. As citizen comment, he said, hey, it's how do we keep the sunshine going? He was referencing how we keep the costs down. And as I'm listening to your efficiency improvement plan, 5% every year is your goal, and the amount of money that you saved, and updating the facility, doing what you can to keep costs down. Prevention is a lot less expensive than intervention. And so what I hear from you and your team, and please pass this on to them, is that we're very grateful that you are very proactive in maintenance and upkeep and prevention. So our citizens can know firsthand that we are, as a city, we're very thoughtful about keeping costs low for everybody. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, I'll pass that along. Thank you.
Okay, Dan Messier.
Thank you.
Did I get that right?
That's pretty close.
Oh, pretty cool. So you have my permission to mispronounce Castama. You call me Custom or whatever you'd like. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, with that, let's move on to 7C. Puyallup Works Youth Internship Program. And Cody, please.
Thank you, Mayor Casima, Council. I'm here to present on the Puyallup Works program, not to be confused with the Public Works. This is a new partnership with the Puyallup School District. And so the city manager and I were approached by the school district a few months ago about a work mentorship program through the Career Technical Education Assistant Director, Chrissy, with the Puyallup School District. And it is now a partnership with the school district and the Chamber Foundation as well. And I'll get into the details here. So it's a pilot summer program offering students a paid summer experience to develop leadership skills while making a meaningful impact on our community. And so the focus of the program is it's through grant funding through Walker High School and the McKinney-Vento program, which is students that are experiencing homelessness, and partnership funding from the city of Puyallup, along with the Puyallup Sumner Chamber Foundation, which will be employing the students, paying the stipends, being the grant facilitator and kind of the program overall facilitator for the school district. The program focuses on students with barriers, including low income and credit deficiencies. The number of students we're looking at serving this summer is 30 students from Walker High School, 15 students from the McKinney-Vento program, and then 30 open spots to incoming seniors. The goal is to serve about 75 students this year. And this is kind of the first year of the program to kind of see how it goes, and potentially take it district-wide in the future. So students will participate in up to 80 hours. There's a 40-hour or an 80-hour option that students will have for the summer internship program. And then students will report to Walker High School once a week for a lunch and learn. And so one of the things the chamber is doing is connecting Walker High School with those lunch and learn folks in the community to learn about financial, how to manage money and what to do with that first paycheck. I mean, spend it, of course, but how the city is going to support this program. So the city would be sponsoring this program financially with a $10,000 grant. And then the city of Puyallup Parks and Recreation is offering opportunities for those internships. So the students will be paid through the chamber, and we will get interns that will come and do scorekeeping, special events, counselor in training, which is our day camp program, and customer service at the front counter or park maintenance staff as well. So the Puyallup Works Chamber Career Academy, 80 hours, up to $1,000 or 40 hours, depending on what the student's commitment level and what their other activities they have going on. Total program hours would be 90 for $1,000 or 50 for 500. And so those hours include the lunch and learn program that's going to happen at Walker High School. And then completion, the stipend would be paid by the Puyallup Sumner Chamber Foundation. I feel that went really quick, but questions?
Councilmember Whitting.
I just can't say how much I love this program. A lot of our Puyallup residents come from fairly wealthy backgrounds and have the funds to be able to go off to college and start careers based on their professional education. But we've got a lot of folks in town that don't have those advantages, and these McKinney-Vento kids and some of the kids that are running through Walker are facing an uphill battle because of their backgrounds, and this gives them an opportunity to learn some skills, to develop a work ethic, to figure out how to get a job. All those things are positive and puts them on a course that will allow them to realize their potential. And I believe a lot of these kids have a lot of potential. So thank you for putting this program together. I just believe I'll keep a bunch of these kids off the streets and away from they won't be sitting on rocks in front of New Hope. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Dorr.
Thank you. I wanted to echo those comments. I'm really excited about this. And as we have learned through various things, kids today don't necessarily want the same things that we want. Job market can be difficult for them. And I've heard, Renee probably has heard, multiple times where they don't have experience to put on a resume. So people don't want to hire. There's just so many different things that they face. And I love that this program is addressing that. And it definitely could change the trajectory of their lives. So I appreciate the fact that you guys are involved and looking forward to seeing how it plays out. Thank you.
Okay, any further comments? Thank you. I think they just consensus is we want more. Anyway, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Now we're going to move on to what is now 7D, which was 3D, and that the contract with Parametrics Incorporated for additional consultant support. Councilmember Johnson, you pulled this to this point on the agenda. If you would like to lead with a question, that's fine. If not, I will have staff explain that in detail, and then we can go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I pulled 3D, the Pioneer Park Pavilion lighting and acoustical upgrades. Unless Parametrics is doing that, I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I had requested to pull 3D.
3D?
And you said, did you say Parametrics in your explanation?
That's what it says.
Is Parametrics doing that?
It says contract with Parametrics.
Mine doesn't say that, so I'm sorry. Mine doesn't say that on mine.
Mr. Mayor, the agenda that staff provided you, I just see it, it's incorrect. You're looking at one that staff provided that says Parametrics, but it's actually the Pioneer Park, so we apologize for that, Mr.
Okay,
Mayor.
so it is 3A.
It's,
Or is it oh, I apologize.
no, it's 3D on the regular agenda. You just received one that was incorrect.
Okay, is it contract with KPG with, no? Okay, Pioneer Park, it's not even here.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that in mind, Dean, if you would like to tee it off or have staff explain it, it's not listed on mine.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've had that happen to me before, so I've been caught flat-footed on some errors. So welcome to the club on that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was briefed a little bit by Steve. So Cody, if you want to give me an update, I know that we had most of us, I know Mr. Mayor, recently you've been to some of the events at the Pioneer Pavilion, and there are some obvious improvements that could be made because that thing is rented out on a regular basis. It's a city facility. Some of the things I've noticed and heard concerns from those who are attending and participating is that the LED lamp screen is very dim. You can't see it. So I brought to Steve's attention, we need to look at replacing that bulb or the projector. The other thing too is the lighting on the stage is super dark. And so when the speakers there, you really can't see them or it's not highlighted. Number three, the concern that I have here consistently all the time is it's got a very dated podium and there's no built-in LED screen. So if you're doing a PowerPoint presentation and you're trying to be professional, you got to turn around when you're doing the clicker behind you to look at the screen. Like if I would have to look at that rather than in front of me. So to find something that would allow some kind of user-friendly for a speaker to be able to utilize. And then also a built-in podium mic, something like a boom mic that could be built in and done. So anyway, just some upgrades. And so I think if I could get some, and I think there's some more things going on besides those things. So I'd like to find out what does this contract include and what could we expect in terms of improvements for some of the presentations that many of the groups utilize for that pavilion.
Yes, Councilmember Johnson, I am happy to address those. This was an LTAC request prior to my arrival. And so this current contract consists of a light bar above the stage. So it'll be theater lighting. So it'll be adjustable brightness. I think there's even colors involved as well. So stage lighting should improve dramatically. The other big piece of this is the acoustical element. So there'll be acoustical tiles that'll hang from the ceiling and then pad the upper section of the walls around the pavilion, as well as some curtains against the windows up above to prevent some of the echoing that happens in there. Because we've also received feedback that it's difficult to hear when you are on the mic in a venue like that. And so just hardscape of that pavilion just, it bounces all over. So this particular contract is for the that was approved by LTAC, is for the acoustics and the lighting, and that's it. We do have a temporary solution for the monitor on the podium,
Okay.
and that city manager is requested as well. So we do have that fix, a temporary fix.
Okay.
I would like to come back to LTAC and talk about LED screens, and because currently it is a projection
Right.
up there, and so any light really washes that out, and that image washes out. And so I have talked to a couple of vendors about LED screens, and some churches have these big LED
Yeah.
wall screens, and so it is it's an expensive, investment. But I would like to come back to LTAC this summer and discuss that.
Yeah, I think that'd be a huge improvement. The clarity and the crystal clarity of that screen behind it with an LED is super crisp and super clean and looks really nice. I'm wondering in the meantime, Cody, I know that those bulbs on the LED projectors typically will have a shelf life. Do we know how long that bulb's been in? And if not, we probably should get it replaced because sometimes they kind of grow dim over the years, and that might, even though it's not high technology like an LED projection screen, at least the LED lamp is going to kind of generate a brighter image on the screen.
Yes, my understanding that was replaced 5 years in 2019.
Okay.
So there is potential to just upgrade that projector and have that discussion. That's
Could that be done internal as kind of a low cost deal? We wouldn't need any kind of deal. Okay.
I think so.
All right, great. Thank you for that. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. With that, Councilmember King, Deputy Mayor King.
I got demoted and promoted in the same sentence. Perfect. No, I'm just teasing. Thank you, Cody, for taking the bull by the horns, so to speak, and taking charge on this. It's been long overdue, and it is something that I have heard time and time again with complaints over the years of the acoustics in here. Is there anything that can be done? And so I appreciate you taking the charge on this, and as someone who was fortunate enough almost 18 years ago, this July 1st, I was married at the pavilion, and we used the inside as the reception area. And so I remember Pioneer Park pavilion condominiums being built. The siding wasn't even on yet, and it was a really hot day that day. But all of these memories are coming back to me, being that my anniversary is coming up in 3 weeks, so I better not forget. But I appreciate the leadership that you've taken on this, and making sure that it is something that we can enjoy for many years to come. So thank you.
You're welcome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Councilmember Dorr, please.
Thank you. I'm really excited about this. So this has been a problem that we have been trying to solve since before I became a council member. And when people are paid, as Deputy Mayor said, when people are paying to rent that facility, they should have an adequate facility. I've spoke in that pavilion and heard the echo. It's embarrassing. We've had dignitaries come and speak in that pavilion. So the sound quality is really, it needs a lot of improvement. So I'm super excited, and I hope that this will address those issues. And I think that council initiated, I don't know if LTAC is meeting, I'm assuming in August, project on the LED screens would be appropriate. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
Just one more. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to just touch on one of the other things. I think it'd be a practical thing, not a really high expensive thing, but just a really practical thing. One of the wonderful things about the maturing process, as I kind of come into that maturing process of age, it's nice to have a little light on the podium. And so the last time I spoke a few weeks ago, I actually went and bought a battery operated on Amazon, a battery operated light, a podium light, stuck it on that podium so I could see. If we had one that would be built in or something nicer, even if it's a battery operated one, just make sure the batteries are fresh. Just clicking that up is just really practical. Again, you have to, if the lighting is already bad, maybe the stage lights will help, but it's always good to have kind of a specialized light in case they dim the lights everywhere else. There's still a light at the speaker's podium. So a minor thing internal, just want to bring that to your attention as kind of a practical thing from a speaker's perspective could be very helpful.
Good to know. Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson and other members, I sit on the LTAC committee, and this has been duly noted that we need to look at an audio visual kind of revamping of the pavilion. This is dealing with acoustical and lighting issues, but the audio visual, I will make sure that this is one of the front and center items at LTAC. Yeah, per this input. With that, I'd like to have a motion to approve what was 3D, which is the Pioneer Park Pavilion lighting and acoustical upgrades on your agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, passes. With that, let's move on to the city manager's report.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm not going to get into the council competition over calendar events, but I will say that Meeker Days is this weekend. So Friday through Sunday will be a great time for Puyallup, and we are looking forward to that. Tomorrow evening at the Activity Center, the Puyallup Activity Center at 210 West Pioneer. That's right there next to Anthem. There will be a community meeting regarding the unfortunate homicide that occurred near Sand Peach Park a few months ago. As I reported last week, and actually it was Chief Engel who reported that 3 suspects were arrested. And so the police department will be hosting a community meeting to update the community on that case. That's tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. at the Activity Center. For your July 2nd meeting, which is your next meeting, we're still developing that agenda, but more than likely one of the items on there will be an update on the Meridian two-way study. Tomorrow, staff and the consultant will be meeting with various groups, community stakeholders, first responders, to seek their input as part of that study. So we will likely have a briefing before you on the July 2nd. There'll be other matters on that agenda as well. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. With that, we'll go into council reports, and I will continue to shake things up here a little bit. Councilmember Dorr.
I knew you were going to do that, and when I looked for my agenda, I lost the South Sound board. Can we come right back? I want to address
Absolutely.
I want to address that out.
Councilmember Whitting.
I'm going to pass tonight.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of points. If anybody had a chance to attend the Puyallup Loop car show last Saturday night, it was just a screaming success. I tell you, there's momentum happening every month when it gathers, and I can tell you, for that many car cruisers with kind of hot rod cars and so many people, for the most part, it's without major incident. I mean, you get a few quirky things here and there, but that's to be expected in larger crowds, but nothing out of hand. And I can't tell you the vibe in downtown. Deborah and I had dinner downtown, and we just literally just walked a big, huge loop up and down Meridian, and we just chatted with people and talked with people, stopped in a couple of, drinking establishments, Scotty's, and not to put a plug in there, had some fun there. But I tell you, it was just a wonderful community vibe. People come in from all over Puyallup to attend this because you don't get this in Tacoma. You sure as hell don't get it in Seattle, and you don't get it in other cities. This is only a small town vibe. And most of us go back and have been around it for a while. You remember when you were teenagers and you cruised that loop. And back then, I remember when you used to cruise it, they had an ordinance that if you went around 3 times and you were caught the 4th time, you got a ticket. So they allow you to go around 3 times now and still be fine. But anyway, just a tremendous. Mark Crosby's doing a fantastic job on that. He kind of keeps the reins on there, and they have a built-in what I call positive peer pressure approach. If someone sees something goofing off, they'll post it on Facebook, a license plate, and really call out that person. So there's kind of a self-guarding in there to make sure that you're not getting out of hand and control with cars that are trying to do something stupid. But anyway, fantastic event. And then as I was walking down the street and engaging with the public, I can't tell you how many people are so excited for this year's summer concert in the park series. When's the concert in the park series? When's the concert in the park series? And of course, it's coming up starting this Thursday, the first Thursday after the 4th of July, July 11th, right here in Pioneer Park. Bring your lawn chair, your blanket, come down with the family and do some dancing, and we'll have a blast. And just want to do a shout out and say hello to Marla. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. Councilmember Adler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First and foremost, I would like to wish all of you on the council here, my colleagues, that will be celebrating Father's Day this Sunday, which I think is the 16th. Yes, it is. I know each of you to be very invested fathers and care very much about your children. So I hope that everyone has a really good day with your family and your kids and others, grandkids. And I will give a shout out to my father, Bob Adler, who unfortunately passed away in 2008, but was a very big Puyallup, a very proud Puyallup resident, and brought home a lot of titles to Puyallup High School from 1970 to 1973. Also would like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for joining me, and our city manager for joining me welcoming 8th and 9th graders from Aylen Junior High, my alma mater, on Friday to engage with us and learn a little bit more about city government and what the city council does. So thank you. That was a tough crowd, probably the toughest crowd I've ever spoke to, but mostly because you know, they likely had other things that they wanted to do than listen to me. And then finally, just want to wish all the graduates good luck and congratulations. I attended the 8th grade graduation ceremony for my nephew Wyatt earlier this morning, who attends Seattle Christian. Obviously, that setup for their school is different than what we have here in Puyallup. They have a middle school setup, but very exciting time, and am grateful that we have such tradition here as folks transition, students transition, and it will be a really great weekend in Puyallup. And I hope that as many of our graduates as possible, after they go off and do whatever they are called to do, come back and make their home here in Puyallup. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Adler. Councilmember Dory.
Thank you. So on the fireworks issue last year with South Sound, I just wanted to provide the update on that. That was an issue that was experienced around the state. There were 5 PSAPs that had that problem. The phone system was overwhelmed. I'm just going to read you off the director's report. It said around 9:30, the 911 phone system was overwhelmed with incoming call volume. This created a situation where callers received a busy signal or hung up and called back as calls were rejected due to capacity. It was the second busiest year in the agency's history. There are a total of 5 PSAPs in our state who utilize the same phone vendor. And they all experienced capacity issues. The PSAPs brought the state in and they worked with the vendor to address that issue. So it should be resolved for this year. The call volume, just for information, 2022, the amount of calls that they received was 2,502. This is South Sound. And in 2023 was 2,944. But so to just address that and buttress, I was going to call you Deputy Mayor. I don't know if that's a demotion or promotion. Deputy Chief McDonald's point. That is what happened. And it was Cressa, Rivercom, Thurston, Wahkiakum, and South Sound that had those outlets, or not outlets, I'm sorry, the outages. And the state did get involved on on Central Pierce. I've been updating you on the potential merger, and there was a joint meeting of all 3 boards last night. Where it is there, so Graham and Ording need to file the intention with the Boundary Review Board. That is in process. They are anticipating that that will be submitted in 6 to 8 weeks. The SEPA process has already gone through and is over. If if their exploration continues down this path, it would go to the voters of Graham and Ording in January of 2020. No, I apologize. It would go to the voters in April of 2025. Central Pierce does not, this district does not vote because they would be assuming the other two districts. And with that, that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Dorr. Councilmember Gilliam.
Thank you, Mayor Castma. Well, since my colleagues are fabulous at keeping the community informed of all the events, I'm just gonna do a shout out to my dad. Happy Father's Day. I'm excited to see you this weekend. But as to the citizens of Puyallup, I really hope that you hear how proficient and proactive our city staff are in serving you and doing the best that they can to keep costs down. So I'm just really proud of our city staff and the reports that were given tonight. And then if you guys want to see me, I'll be the MC at the main stage during Meeker Days. So come say hi, everybody. Thank you, Mayor Castma.
Thank you, Councilmember Gilliam. Deputy Mayor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are super excited that we have 5 graduations happening this weekend during Meeker Days at the fair. So it's going to be a busy weekend. So watch out for that and all the traffic and students that are going to be down by the fairgrounds, and then make sure you stop by Meeker Days. Also, just a quick shout out for a special cause that's happening coming up on Friday, June 28th, sponsored by Anthem Coffee and Fat Zach's Pizza. There's going to be a second annual Holes of Hope golf tournament that's going to be taking place at Eagles Pride Golf Course. And this golf tournament will have all the proceeds going to our Puyallup Food Bank. So make sure you check that out on the Anthem website. And that's all I have for you today.
Thank you. I'll keep my comments very brief. Remember that the WSU has the pollinator event on Saturday out at WSU. We're help sponsor that event out there because we are a bee city and bees are pollinators along with other insects. But that's actually a quite a significant event, a regional event that will be out there. At Meeker Days, we are all invited to go down to the Main Street Association, their booth in Puyallup, and just greet people, say hello to them. I encourage you to do that. One last little thing before we actually go into executive session. I had a memory when I was in the 1960s as just a little kid, but just to let you know what they used to do at Meeker Days. And I think I've told some of the newer members may not have heard this, but when I was a little kid, you had to grow a beard during Meeker Days. And if you didn't grow a beard, they on the Meeker house, which is out here, it's actually their first log cabin, but it's a cement structure now with the original vine that was on that cabin is still there. But anyway, they used to build a jail out of that. It was a 2nd-story jail. And if you didn't have a beard, they came around in a big van that was made like in the 1940s or something like that. And these police Keystone cops would go ahead and they'd arrest you if you didn't have a beard, and they'd throw you in there, and they'd call you up on the phone. And those were the old Thornwall 5 numbers. And they would call you up and they would say, it cost you $10 to bail out your dad. But the way you avoided that if you didn't have a beard in town is you had to buy a button for $5 and you had to wear it on your jacket, your lapel. And then that way you wouldn't be arrested. And I got to tell you, $5 in the 1960s, that was a lot of money, but it was cheaper than having to bail out your dad who was taken into jail at the old Meeker house. So anyway, it's a great part of Puyallup. It's been a part of Puyallup forever. So I encourage everyone to come out and enjoy it. With that, we're now going to go into executive session. We're going to go into recess for executive session to consider the selection of a site or the acquisition of real estate by lease or purchase. The executive session is expected to last 1 hour, and no further action is expected following the executive session. So those of you in the audience, you don't have to continue being here. So with that, we're going to recess. Thank you.
Good evening. The city clerk notes the time is 9:27 PM. Mayor Casma is extending the executive session an additional 30 minutes. Good evening. The Puyallup City Clerk notes that the time is 9:59. And Mayor Castma is extending the executive session an additional 30 minutes to 10:29. Good evening. The Puyallup City Clerk notes the time is 10:05 and the Puyallup City Council meeting for Tuesday, June 11th is adjourned.